Welcome, new and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, broadcasting to you live from the city of Diversity, Oakland, California, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time. A shout out to our mental health superwoman, Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology, is down there in LA making things happen. We hope to have her back in the studio soon. One of the things one patient at a time, Dr. Ashley, that's what I want to say. One patient at a time. We love you and thank you for showing up for us as you do every day. Every day. Audience, thank you for tuning in today, February 29th, every 4 years, February 29th, 2024, and joining the discussion. We would like to welcome back a political fighter, young sister, Jennifer Esteen, busting through the gatekeepers. Oh, yeah, the gatekeepers. These old guys who don't want to train the young people to take over the reins. They just want to hold on and tell people, we're going to let you in and we're not going to let you in. Let that gate go. The gatekeepers in charge for so long, and you're going to love to hear what I have to say next. We support her efforts to get Nate Miley, Alameda County Board of Supervisor, who has been there 24 years, and that's too damn long. Visit Jennifer Esteen's website as seen below. The Black Joy Parade, which I had attended, the mayor asked me to ride with her on the bus because of physical limitation, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The streets were lined up. It was just one beautiful event, and I'm glad I took a couple of gabapentin and a 1-800, and I was able to attend. So thank you, Mayor Shang Zhao, for inviting me. I enjoyed the event, and it was wonderful seeing you again. I hadn't seen you in a year, so good seeing you again. The Black Joy Parade. Visit their hashtag at Black Joy Parade, hashtag Black Joy Parade Oakland. Thumbs up and thumbs down. Dun, 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 and dun, 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 dun. Did you make the list this week? Well, this week, thumbs up goes to Senator Mitch McConnell, who is the longest serving senator in the history of the Senate. And the reason why I say thumbs up goes to him because it's about time he left. He has brought in more corporate money into the political process than I believe any other person in history. In addition, he blocked the first black president's Supreme Court picks. So, bye, Felicia. Mitch McConnell. Bye, Felicia. Anyway, this week's thumbs down goes to dun 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 dun. The Oakland Police Commission picked 4 people, and I've been reading up on them. All of them been passed over or have red flags. One of them was suspended in the city adjacent to Oakland, San Leandro, California. The mayor has chosen not to even attend the meeting tonight, and I think I'm going to go on Zoom and see what's going on. But this is really, Oakland is really doing bad with the crimes and the burglaries. We need a police commission. We need a police chief, Oakland Police Commission. You're supposed to be the strongest commission in the state of California and across the United States, and you can't even find 4 good people. I'm a community police advisory board member, and Deputy Chief Beer, when we were doing the pop-ups, he came out and met with the constituents in the cities, neighborhoods, and community. So we have good people on the force now who can step up and be chief, but we need somebody who knows the city. We need somebody who understands the crime and grime and all the political things that are going on and how it relates to resolving the crime in the city of Oakland, California. And it is cold in the Bay Area, and a storm is coming. Good to see you out there. Also, the Black Business Roundtable is bringing national, regional, local news and more, not only here in Oakland, not only here in the county of Alameda, the state of California, but all across the United States. It's incumbent that we share from coast to coast, border to border. We understand that the same problems we have here in Oakland, California, people in Baltimore, people in New York, people in Florida, people in Chicago, Illinois, in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not just an isolated problem here in Oakland, but the conversations that we having. And thank you, Donnie Glover, for giving us the opportunity to share what is going on here in Oakland, because it's disgraceful. We have a city that is, businesses are leaving. And I'm going to say this with passion. Businesses are leaving in Grove. In-N-Out Burger was here. Hi, Michelle Rudolph. Good to see you from what was that? No, that's Michael. I'm sorry, Michael. Good to see you, Michael Randolph. Hello from Tampa Bay. California's in the house, Michael. But we have a city that is being devastated with businesses leaving. We have a corridor from the Oakland International Airport that businesses like the Black Bear Diner, gone. In-N-Out Burger, leaving this month. Starbucks, leaving. And the reason they're leaving is because, and there's some other businesses down there that have left. Gas station are being robbed. They have to hire their own security. Oakland's corridor from the airport to Hagenberger to the Hot Freeway is just shameful. Shameful. When you have international airport where people can't even get off the plane and go do trade with the businesses that rely on them, that's a problem. What is Oakland, the administration, doing to resolve that? I would challenge somebody from Oakland, whether it be city council or the mayor's office, to come on to this show and tell America what is and is not happening here in Oakland. Because at the end of the day, Oakland was not always like this. When you have companies like Kaiser, which hires more people than any other company in the city, when you have companies like Clorox, which it has a lot of employees, what is that saying? What is that saying to the mom and pop sandwich shops, small restaurants, small gift shops and surrounding businesses that rely on those dollars that those people spend? Clorox told their people, bring your lunch, don't come out. Clorox told their people, bring your lunch, don't come out. Kaiser, same thing. So all those restaurants around Kaiser who used to get money for services rendered, now they're going to go out of business. When you have thousands of people who were shopping in the area, visiting restaurants, stop doing it, what happened to the businesses that rely on that money, on those patrons? So I'm challenging anybody in the Oakland administration, any elected official, to come on to the show. I talked to the mayor about 3 weeks ago on a phone call. She assured me that she was going to meet with me. And I know her mom passed away, with this police thing, but I'm challenging the mayor's office. Come on to the show. We can talk first. I meet with you, me and my producer. But Oakland is going down like the Titanic. Unless we get some military Marines out there to shore up this big hole, this big gaping hole that's got the rats jumping off. When you see rats jumping off a ship, that's a problem. Also, in the Bay Area, we got Macy's closing in San Francisco, the flagship store. We got Macy's closing in San Leandro, right adjacent here, where we're getting the police chief was fired from San Leandro Police Department. So we have major stores leaving this city, leaving this county, leaving the Bay Area. Macy's, which has been a beacon of San Francisco for decades. In San Francisco, they're leaving. In Oakland, once again, Kaiser, the biggest employer here in Oakland, telling their people, don't go out at lunchtime or breaks. Bring your lunch. When you get companies like Clorox, who's another large employer, telling their people, don't go out. And just 2 weeks ago, PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, 2 of their employees were robbed going into the parking lot down at PG&E in downtown Oakland. So, yes, I am concerned. Yes, I'm going to keep challenging this administration. And yes, when election time comes, you will be held accountable. I am an Alameda County Democratic Central Committee alternate delegate. I'm a California Democratic Party delegate. And next time you come and you want my vote to get those Democratic dollars that are set aside for the winning nominee, I'm going to personally petition each and every person who I sit as a delegate representing the Bay Area, Oakland, and the state of California. I'm going to tell them, look at Oakland for the last couple of years. What have these people done? Look at the 800 vacancies that the city of Oakland, and those are jobs. People need jobs. Those are good paying jobs. Why aren't we filling these vacancies here in Oakland? And the police department, we just recently filled the position that 911 call center needed. So we are at DEFCON 1 elected officials, and I'm tired of hearing your excuses. The honeymoon is over. Some of you have been there long enough to make a difference. And once again, we have an election cycle every 2 years. This election cycle is have a bunch of new people coming in, one of which will Jennifer Esteen, who will be joining us shortly. We need to get these old, and I'm going to be brutally honest, these old ass gatekeepers out who got paid while the city got played. Just the last mayor, Libby Schaff, was endorsed. Yes, endorsed by the Oakland branch of the NAACP. She caused more mayhem and chaos. So the new administration is in because the old administration didn't do anything. So I hope you are taking note with the new administration. With the new administration, the most important thing that we must remember is this. The same way you got in is the same way you're going to get out. Also, I want to warn travelers leaving the Bay Area. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Let me give a quick weather warning. Warning about the weather and not traveling to the Sierras. That's up near Reno and Tahoe. Is very bad for the next couple of days. They said in a couple of days the storm will subside. It'll be fresh snow up there. Oh, I see my friend in the background. So let me wrap this up. News: Yosemite National Park to close completely due to blizzard conditions. And more importantly, stay home if you don't have to get out here, and be safe. Now, with no further delay, no further wait, this beautiful, lovely sister who's going to be the next Alameda County Board of Supervisors. Let's welcome our guest today, a mother, a nurse, an activist, Jennifer Esteen. She is campaigning on housing, healthcare, jobs, justice, and unincorporated and often overlooked southern part of the Bay Area. Welcome to the Black Business Roundtable, Jennifer Esteen. Come on home.
There you go. What's up? It's so good to be back, Doug. How you doing?
Well, you know, I've been off. I'm saying this because I know you're a nurse, a psych nurse too. I've been off, and I'm gonna make this quick because we got some questions that I know you ready. I've been watching you on these candidate forum. You are like Barry Bonds. Every time they give you the bat, you just knock it right out the park. That's what you're gonna do here today. But I've been out on medical leave since since September, and psychologically, it's been really, really challenging. So I had really thought about talking to getting some talking to a psychologist, but you know, one of the things, and as you know, my plate is extremely busy. I'm a Oakland East Bay Democratic Club on the executive committee. I'm an Alameda County Democratic Central Committee alternate delegate. I'm a California Democratic delegate. I'm on the Community Policing Advisory Board. So I haven't been able to attend a lot of these events, even like tonight, which you're going to talk about what's going on tonight between 7 and 10. So I might have to say, sisters, who can you recommend for me to talk to? Because depression and anxiety runs deep in the Black community. And I'm sharing this with you live because I want people to look at this and understand, especially Black men. Hey, brothers, we've been slaves for 400 plus years. If anybody needs help,
it's us.
And it's the us. Black women too. Don't let me disregard. But let's dive right into it today.
Well, you know, I don't want to get too deep beyond that question you asked because I'm glad that you said it. I'm glad you're telling the truth. Everybody needs some help. You know, one thing about our Black community is we have had our community torn apart over and over and over. And you know, Black people in America specifically, we were ripped away from our roots. We were ripped away from our homes. We were carried overseas to this foreign land. The strongest of us has survived, thank goodness. And we still are suffering at the hands of people who want to decimate our communities. And displacement is a factor. You know, I'm running for Alameda County Supervisor in this district that represents Oakland, East Oakland specifically. And East Oakland has experienced so much displacement because we haven't been protected. And the seat that I'm running for has been represented by someone for 24 years who has not looked out for renters, who has not looked out for generational occupants of this space and this land, and who has not protected us. And because of that, the aunties, the uncles, the parents, the grandparents, who would be our whole community, have been displaced and sent elsewhere, or are sleeping in cars and in the street instead of in the homes that they occupied previously. And what's the saddest part of all is the person that's been there for 24 years is a Black man who has not looked out for our Black community. So it's time for a change. I am a Black woman, a nurse, and a mother, and I am here to make sure that we absolutely can bring our community back, make it whole again, and heal from all of that. So yes, I do have some recommendations for you. There's a lot of Black mental health professionals. My wife is a Black mental health professional. We got some folks, and I will share resources that we can actually share out to the community. There's the Black Mental Health Network that brother Stanley. What's Stanley's stage name? You know who I'm talking about. He says, "Call me Stanley," but he goes by Mr. Fab. Mr. Fab,
yeah.
Shop Network. We also have other Black psychology networks, the Black psychoanalysts. There's a lot of resources that we can connect you with. And it's important to have culturally competent care. And sometimes you can find, somebody who's brown, who isn't necessarily Black, who can serve you. But it's really hard to get solid care from people who do not match us ethnically. And Black people don't have one identity. Some Black people side on the white side, or, whatever. It's complicated. It's complicated. So, yes, psychology is also a place to be.
Let's shoot this first question off. I want to just say this. White people don't understand Black people problems. I'm not saying all of them, but Black people got problems that very, as they say, it gets complicated. Let's dive right on in. How is the sale of the Oakland Coliseum half from the county of the Oakland Coliseum connected to crime? So how is the sale of that by the county, which Nate Miley was a part of, who helped broker?
Yes.
How does that connect with crime? And I'm going to come off screen because every once in a while I have to get up and stretch. So I'm going to let you, and I know you have a good, that's why I'm going to take myself off the screen. I'm going to ask you a question because let me tell you, audience, this is the type of politician we need. We don't need those politicians who give those fake answers. This sister breaks it down. So go ahead, break it down for us.
I'm going to break it down for you. I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself and standing up. I'm actually at a stand desk right now. So the sale of the Coliseum, first of all, was problematic. It's public land that should always be maintained for public benefit. And I don't really think that selling public land for one-time dollars is the right move, but that's what we're working with. In 2019, the Coliseum was sold. The way that the Coliseum was owned is half owned by the city of Oakland and half owned by the county of Alameda. So in 2019, the person in this seat for 24 years, Nate Miley, decided to sell the county's half of the Coliseum to the billionaire owner of the A's, John Fisher. And they put no competitive bid process together, which bureaucracy says competitive bids. That didn't happen. So we really don't even know if the county received the highest dollar that could have come to the taxpayers when we sold this very valuable piece of land. And in 2019, the Raiders were still playing ball at the Coliseum. The Warriors were still playing ball at the Coliseum. And the A's were still playing ball at the Coliseum. But this sale went to the billionaire owner of the A's with zero community benefits, with zero terms and conditions that would maintain the A's being here, with zero terms and conditions that even said, we want you to come back and negotiate with us when we decide how to develop this land. And because of that, the A's decided to make it uncomfortable for the Warriors to play. They made it uncomfortable for the Raiders to play, and both teams left. Then they decided to take their team elsewhere. They wanted to get a deal at Howard Terminal, which is where the Port of Oakland is right now in the west side. And they wanted the taxpayers to pay for the entire stadium, even though they are billionaires who own that portion now. And, the city of Oakland wasn't going to give them a sweet deal the way the county did. So now what we have is the headlines are really screaming about crime up and down Hagenberger Boulevard, Hagenberger Road, which is the road that goes directly to the Coliseum. Headlines that say In-N-Out Burger left. Headlines that say Denny's left, as if In-N-Out Burger and Denny's are the thing that make our city what it is. No, the real problem is that when you take away 3 professional sports teams that have been playing, pretty much every day of the month in rotation, you take away jobs, you take away tax dollars from people flying in and out, you take away the revenue that was going into the hotels locally, the restaurants locally, the small businesses, and all of the neighborhood has suffered and been pretty much devastated. And this is because of the dealings that started with the 24-year incumbent, Nate Miley, and the billionaire selling us out. That's why crime is connected to the sale of the Coliseum, because when they abandoned that whole area, then it was no man's land. And now we have a Black-owned development firm that said they want to bring community benefit. They want to bring development. They want to build affordable housing and bring jobs that people in the community can work. And they have guaranteed in their negotiated agreement that they want to make sure that the people who get the jobs in the area are residents of the area. That's what we're talking about.
Well, let me throw this in there.
Let's get it.
What happened was, how did they say? What had happened
was. That's when they're gonna tell you a lie. What had happened was.
Yeah. What had happened was John Fisher got the baseball player Stewart to go in there and act like he was gonna buy the other half, or they were trying to work a deal out.
Yep.
Ray Bobbitt, who's a friend of the show, African American sports and entertainment group.
Yep.
They tried to petition to get Ray Bobbitt and his organization out. The crime around the Coliseum is a direct, like you said, correlation with, if you drive around that Coliseum, it looks like a third world country. The United Nations have come into Oakland and said, Oakland, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. United Nations. Now, we talk about helping everybody else across the world. Let's help Oakland.
Let's start here at home.
When you have the United Nations saying that Oakland looks like a third world country, that's a problem. But thank you for that expanded answer. Let's dive into questions.
In the third world country, under the leadership of this Black man for 2 decades. And before he was on the county level, was serving on the Oakland City Council for another decade. So we're talking about almost my entire lifetime that we've had Black people.
My mother was on his first campaign in 1990 when he was running for city council.
So we're talking about decades of Black leadership under which our city and community has actually moved into a direction that we have less Black businesses, less Black wealth, less Black home ownership, and In-N-Out and Denny's are so scared that they're running out of our town. Well, go on and get gone. We got something better. We got Black-owned businesses that will open up in that location after Tuesday, after election day, after people vote out that person and vote in this person.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap that up by saying bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Take it to the left.
Question number 2. Hey, how can a psych nurse, and that's what you are, a licensed psych nurse, help solve crime and make life better for residents? Help us connect the dots. And I know you can answer that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. You know, when we talk about this third world country and we talk about Oakland and we talk about our community, as a public health nurse and a psychiatric registered nurse, I'm both. What we are talking about is how we keep our community healthy and safe. And right now we have so many people on the street. California is home to 50% of the nation's unhoused population. And in Alameda County, Oakland is home to 60% of the unhoused population. And the people who are most newly unhoused, the average age is 62. We are talking about elders, and the majority are Black people. We're talking about people in our community who are struggling financially because of economic injustice. We are people who we're talking about they're struggling with stress because it's hard to make a living in the Bay Area. It's just frankly, very expensive. And what a psych nurse can do is something that right now we see in the community. The main people that are tasked with responding to issues around homeless encampments and responding to issues around psychiatric and mental health crises are law enforcement officials, uniformed police officers. And we know when they show up, they have equipment and training to do certain things, to shoot people, to beat people, and to arrest people. They do not have training and equipment to handle mental health crises. People like me do. Psych nurses, trained mental health professionals can handle psychiatric crises and social issues around housing and wealth inequality. So why are we sending police to respond? While at the exact same time, we do have crime happening and we do have violence happening, and people do need the police to show up. But in Oakland, where we have the majority of these issues, the 911 dispatch audit that was released at the end of 2023 said that it's taking the police 5 minutes to answer calls. It's taking the police 66% of the time they get calls to 911. They are nonviolent, non-urgent, and actually don't require a police response. So police are showing up slow, and 2/3 of their time are spent doing things that they are not trained and equipped to do. We need to make different decisions about prioritization. And the county needs to help the city of Oakland respond to these issues. But after 24 years of the same leadership, we are not seeing the prioritization that would give the police the freedom to do the work that they're supposed to do and allow trained professionals like me do the work of responding to the social issues of the day. We need a response that is different. We need a response that is responsible, that is prioritized, where the county can actually make a comprehensive approach to social issues around housing, homelessness, and mental health care. And the mandate from the state to provide those services does not reside with the city of Oakland, or any city for that matter. The mandate from the state of California says every county has to provide housing and homelessness services and mental health care. That's why a psych nurse can help to respond to crime, because we can free up the police to do their work, and we can have trained psych professionals doing the rest of the work.
Well, let's further that by saying we need somebody young and who's energetic. We don't need somebody who's complacent. And from the resources that you said that the federal and state have given the county, it seems like this area is not getting it, deep East Oakland. So whose fault is that other than the county supervisor?
Yeah, the fault of the president of the board, the fault of the person who's been there 24 years making the decisions around funding priorities. And the way I see it is what we've been getting for 24 years is what we're going to keep getting. And we have the opportunity to vote for change. Sometimes people think their vote doesn't count, but let me tell you, the county has a $4 billion budget. That's a lot of money. And that money is supposed to support the 14 cities in the county, and it's supposed to take care of the unincorporated community where I reside. But that $4 billion is being spent in funny ways. I just got a text right before I logged into the show that our county budget has a surplus. You want to know how much?
How much?
$111 million unspent. And we have 3,000 vacancies, staff vacancies, fully funded positions in our county. So we have salary savings for 3,000 workers in this county on top of that $111 million. That 111 was unallocated funds. So there's money being held aside, sequestered, and squirreled away that wasn't accounted for. Every budget is created with a rainy day fund. Every budget is created with some savings. We're talking about on top of that. Money that was never allocated, and we got people sleeping in the street. Unacceptable.
Well, I know personally, there was a Black woman-owned engineering company that Nate Miley's office, who she lives in his district, they gave a catering company $100 million, who was close friends, not $100 million, $100,000 relief fund for the COVID, But the black woman engineering company, they only gave $20,000, and they made her wait 3 to 4 weeks. These are the types of tactics that we need to address when we talk about fairness. Now, if you got an engineering company, they could hire people and pay them more money, and probably was more devastated by it. But once again, the person who owned the catering company, the consulting company, hospitality, whatever it was, she's close friends with Nate, and got as the brother say, she got hookup.
It sounds like she got the hookup. I'll let you hear me. Yeah, I think one thing that I pride myself on is fiscal responsibility, transparency, and accountability. I am a registered nurse. Nurses have been the most trusted professionals in this country for decades. And the reason is we have people's lives in our hand. I'm a healthcare professional. When I go to work, I do my job and I finish the task. I have empathy and a desire to help and care. My mom was a public health nurse. I come from a family of healers and service providers, public health professionals. And that's what I want to bring. I have been serving on the Alameda Health System Board in this county, governing our 4 county hospitals, 318 nursing home beds and multiple clinics for the last 3 years. I was the vice president of the board last year, chair of the finance committee, working like this with our chief financial officer. And our health system budget was $1.4 billion. So
you know how to deal with them 9 digits.
Already have fiscal responsibility, exactly, managing billions of our tax dollars. And nobody's asking about
I'm gonna say this
treatment.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Nate is in his late 70s. I gotta give Keith Carson, I know he's 70 plus. I gotta give Keith Carson. Keith saw the writing on the wall. He's a black supervisor. There's only 2 black supervisors, Keith Carson and Nate Miley. I got to give Keith Carson, Alameda County Board of Supervisors, his props. He saw the writing on the wall, and he stepped down. Nate gonna be like Dianne Feinstein if we keep him in. They got to be rolling him into the meetings.
Ain't gonna happen, because on Tuesday, let the record show this sister gonna win. Because I am out with my volunteers every single day. We've been knocking on doors for months, and the early returns has shown. And I got to tell y'all, voting is so important. This is a super low turnout race. Only 8% of the ballots have been turned in. There's 185,000 registered voters in just this district, and only 12,000 people have turned their ballots in. That's 8%. And the majority of those people who've returned their ballots are over 50, white, and you know who else has been turning their ballots in? Republicans. But you know what I get when I go to them doors, I knock and I talk and I say, excuse me, I'm a public health nurse and a psych nurse. I'm running for us. People say, oh, I like you, even the Republicans. And I have a secret weapon. When we say people over 50 have been voting, I have had groups of people all over this district who are over 50, who have been making handwritten postcards to send to their neighbors saying, I believe in Jennifer and you should vote for her. And we sent out 10,000 postcards to elders so that they would understand what's at stake.
Well, that's audience. This is the type of grassroots campaign where you getting out. You're not getting hooked up with people who you been getting paid off, who buddy up to you when they have these different COVID relief fund. And I see it on the screen here before we go to this next one. Someone said they gave a catering company, a consulting company, $100,000.
That's a lot.
But they gave a black woman-owned engineering company who wasn't buddied up with Nate Miley. Nate Miley, the current supervisor who's been in there 24 years.
It's a long time.
Next question. Housing issues are extreme right now.
Yeah.
And I'm talking Oakland, 70% of the housing people, housing homeless, are black, and over 50% of that number are elderly black.
Right.
So what will you do differently compared to the incumbent in charge for the last 24? Okay, audience, 24 years he's been in charge.
Yeah.
24 years. Yes, folks, 20, and I'm going to keep saying it because if it's broke, we got to fix it. And this is broke.
Yeah.
So
if it was working well, I wouldn't be running. I wouldn't do this. I got a job.
I know you do. A psych nurse, they're getting paid too. 24 years protected by the gatekeepers. These old people who got alliances, yeah. And this sign mean money. They get paid while us constituents get played.
Getting played. They get paid, we get played.
Gatekeepers that seem to want to keep things as they are. And let me tell you something. It's broke. Go ahead and light it up.
So the gatekeepers want to keep things like they are. The people really have needs. And, you know, I think one of the biggest issues is that we have an opportunity to bring generational change. My kids are actually 18, 19, and 22. I know I look young, but I'm fully grown, y'all. And my kids are at a place in their life where they have to make a choice about whether or not they want to live in the place where they grew up. Are they going to be feeling like Oakland is still home? Like the quality of life is good? Are they going to be able to afford to live here when they are, on their own paying rent? Will they be able to achieve the American dream? And I don't know if that's the case, especially because so many of our neighbors and friends are getting priced out and displaced. And the real estate developers, the landlord lobby, they really want to keep things the way they are. They are the people who are bankrolling Nate Miley's campaign. They've already spent $500,000 to tarnish my name. And they think that they can call me extreme and say that I'm a bad person.
Let me ask you to say that again. So this audience,
we're gonna back it all the way up. What's that statement? Yep. This is how much your vote counts.
How much is he getting? How much money did he get for his campaign from wealthy
donors? Two different numbers. So they give his campaign money, like the A's gave his campaign money. Thank you. In 2019, they sold the Coliseum. In 2020, they gave him 10 G's, which is nothing. Nothing. They gave the billionaires a Coliseum. He got 10 G's. Man, you got to be kidding me. They have bankrolled his campaign, but also there's this thing called an independent expenditure. When they say dark money, we talk about dark money. The landlord lobby has already spent $500,000 against me, but that's not the only folks. We got the landlord lobby. We got the real estate, California Association of Realtors. We got the Chevron. We know how bad they are. They like to dirty up our air and make pollution, and Black people suffer. We got PG&E. They just walked away with $5 billion in profit while lighting fires all over our forest, blowing up stuff in San Bruno. Who else is in on it? The police of Oakland are in on it. The sheriffs are in on it. They're all spending money because they do not want this independent Black woman who is of the people, by the people, for the people, to bring us tenant protections, to bring us healthcare and housing. So when you ask me about how people can afford to live here and what housing is going to be like under my leadership, how are we going to get people off the streets? One of the things that I know and that I've seen and that we have all seen actually, universal basic income. People may have heard of universal basic income programs. The first time I heard about it, it was this dude was running for president, Andrew Yang. And when he mentioned it, everybody laughed at him. I was one of them. I was like, what is he talking about giving everybody $1,000? However, I don't think everybody should get $1,000. And what we have seen is that universal basic income pilots have come all over this country, at least 100 of them. In Alameda County, we have had a universal basic income program for young people who were formerly foster youth. And it has been remarkable how much it helps them. A universal basic income pilot in San Francisco for pregnant women. And a year after they give birth, giving them $1,000, and it's changed the game for them throughout the course of the pregnancy. Last year, You know, we had Trump as president, which was devastating. But during COVID, what we actually got were those relief checks. When people got that, that was basically the universal basic income. That was the stipend program, the child care tax credit, and it lifted people up out of poverty. And it helped to eradicate child hunger, starvation. We're talking about some basics, food and shelter. People use the money to pay for basic necessities. That's the kind of program I would bring to Alameda County. It would be a stipend, and it would be for certain groups of people, and it would be primarily to cover basic needs. So for folks who are like in the street right now, they need a little bit of money so that they can cover their deposit on a new place and cover their rent, but they might also need wraparound services. That's for them. For people who are currently working and paying the rent, we want to make sure they stay housed, because it's cheaper to keep people housed than it is to try to suddenly get them housed. And last year, the University of California in San Francisco, UCSF, did a study about the state of homelessness in California. And they discovered that when people were newly unhoused, the difference between losing their housing and keeping it was $300 to $500 a month. That is not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. But if you're on the edge, that's everything. That's your lifeline. So we're talking about a small sum to people on the edge. Then for people who are making it, but who, might want to achieve that dream of home ownership that seems further and further and further out of reach, we can do a robust first-time homebuyer program that actually works. And this would bring money back into the system. And I'll tell you how, because if we give people a certain amount of money to help with their down payment, we can tell them that they have to stay in Alameda County for 10, 15, or 20 years, depending on how much they get, the terms of the program. This is a program that doesn't exist. We get to create it. So whatever we want, over the course of that time, they stay here, they put back into our system because they spend their money here, they raise their kids here, they contribute to our economy, and it can be seen as a recruitment and retention bonus, whether you are an employer in the private sector or the governmental sector. When people live where they work, their quality of life is better. They're driving less. You don't have to go to Tracy to come to work here. So you're out of your car, your kids go to school where they live. Suddenly you have a thriving, vibrant community where people feel connected to home and they want to be here. That is the kind of stuff that we will never see coming from 24 years, because if we were going to see it, we would already have it. But that's what I'm going to be bringing. Some different kind of approaches that are not, guys, this ain't rocket science. We all know that this is common sense. But what we have to do is implement these kinds of programs. That's what I'm going to bring.
Well, let me be clear here. Not only does she know the problem, but it sounds like she has solutions. And we are working with 11 minutes and some seconds. And I got three more questions. Last year, you were endorsed by Shaman. Okay, thank you. Shaman Walton, San Francisco County Supervisor.
Yep.
This week, Supervisor Walton led San Francisco in the issue of a formal apology.
Yes.
For years of racist treatment and policies. Tell us your thoughts on that.
I'm so proud of Shaman. I love that brother. He is amazing. So, San Francisco got a black mayor. We got a black supervisor in Shaman Walton. We got a black head of the Human Rights Commission. We got a black head of the Women's Commission. Malia Cohen, who is what is Malia's job now? Is she the treasurer? She's a statewide elected official. She was formerly a San Francisco supervisor, another black woman. And San Francisco's black population has been devastated. San Francisco, just like Oakland was 40% black at one time, and now it's 20% black. San Francisco was 25% black, and now it's 3% black. When I worked in psych emergency, I work for the city and county of San Francisco right now. And for 5 years, I worked in the psychiatric emergency room at San Francisco General Hospital. And at that time, San Francisco was 4% black. But the patient population that I was serving in psych emergency was 47% Black. And most people who come in a psych emergency come in wearing handcuffs. They come in with police. So we're talking about treatment of people in San Francisco that is worse than what we've seen here in Oakland. People have been priced out. The war on drugs is a horrible thing that continues and is getting worse today. The policies are being pushed in a way that will encourage police to stop and frisk, to have high-speed chases, to have less accountability. They're trying to put together a surveillance state. It's problematic. The rent control has not really kept our communities whole, and people have lost. You know, like you don't go from a 25% population, 3% population, unless there's a problem. Many problems with stability. And I can't blame that on the people, because it is the policies that have driven people out. And that's a part of the apology that was issued, that Shaman led. Recognition that it was the policies of the city that drove the population asunder. And I appreciate that the brother led that. And he endorsed my campaign. You know, that's my homie. We're friends. And I look forward to being a supervisor and moving policies. But, you know, apologies are one thing. Actions are something else. So we're looking for some actions to follow this apology. But an apology is a big deal. There's only, a handful of states in this nation that have issued apologies for slavery. We're talking about an apology for like Jim Crow laws now. What we
need is some reparation around here. Let me just say this: if my great grandpa had 50 white people working for free, I'd be a billionaire now too. So on that note,
well, and when we look at our criminal justice system, the criminal legal system in this state, we have incarcerated folks that still work for free.
Mm-hmm.
If you fighting fires and you in state prison, you work for $1 a day. Mm-hmm. But a firefighter on the state fire squad, or if you're in some city, you're making $150,000 a year, easy. Mm-hmm. Easy.
Well, let's move on. We got two more questions. Last year, you also issued a ceasefire statement about Gaza. Your role on the county board will not have decision making on federal issues. Why did you issue a ceasefire statement?
Ooh, so many reasons. The stuff we just talked about in San Francisco is a part of the reason why I issued a ceasefire statement, because people of color, Black folks, have been done wrong by policies in America. And in addition to that, I hold multiple identities. We talk about being intersectional. I'm a Black woman, nurse. I'm a mom. I'm gay, but I'm also Jewish. And that's something you can't necessarily tell by looking at me. So it feels very personal to me what's happening in Gaza. And like, it should feel personal to everybody. Frankly, as a nurse, we are seeing hospitals getting bombed and destroyed. As a parent, we are seeing schools getting bombed and destroyed. And if any of that was happening in our community here at home, we would be up in arms. Like, you don't get to come through and just blow up hospitals. That's not cool. You don't get to come through and blow up schools where my children are at. That's not cool either. But our tax dollars are paying for that. And it feels incredibly important for me to stress that none of us can be safe if we are antagonizing people. None of us can be safe if we are destroying people's homes. And none of us will be free until all of us are free. The liberation of the people in Palestine and in Gaza is 100% connected to my liberation. And if we can talk about reparations for Black people, because we've been harmed for so many years through colonial oppression, and America was founded and built on colonial oppression, then we have to be able to connect the dots to the oppression that is happening by way of our tax dollars being spent to destroy and bomb the people in Gaza. It is horrendous, and it has to stop. And as a Jewish woman who is raising Black Jewish sons, I have to say, you don't get to claim that you're killing these people in my name. I'm not here for that. And icing on the cake, right here in Alameda County, where we have a $4 billion budget, $1 billion of that is spent on the criminal legal system. every single year. And in our jail, 70 people have died in the last 10 years. So we are talking about money spent to harm our community here locally as well. And if you support militarism abroad, you support militarism at home. So I don't, and I won't, and I want peace, and I want to move away from the militaristic state and make sure that we can heal our communities. I am a nurse. I will rest on that. I am a nurse. I am here to heal.
Well, we got one last question in less than 4 minutes.
All right.
Jennifer, what is happening tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. via Zoom?
Hey.
OaklandRising.org/BOSD4 that folks can tune in to find out what's going on.
Yes, what is happening tonight at 7 is the last and final candidate forum between me and the incumbent Nate Miley. And this forum will be the first one where we actually have the opportunity to have a debate. We can rebut the statements of the other. And we haven't been able to do that before. So I'm expecting to see a new level of reaction and a new level of fireworks because, this is what it is. I have pushed for every single forum we've had. We had a forum in Oakland. We had a forum in Cherryland, unincorporated area. We had a forum in Castro Valley. We had a forum tonight, virtual. The Legal Women Voters did a forum virtually. And I have asked every single organizer to make sure that these forums happen because the voters deserve to know. They need to hear from us directly, and they need to understand what's at stake and who we are so they can make an informed decision. And I think
how can we tune into that? Can you give us your website, or
yes.
Can my producer put your website up? Because I was going to the police commission meeting regarding the 4 nominees, but it seems like the Oakland police commission is finding the roughest, most ineligible, don't even want getting fired in their own town people that they can. So there it is, audience. OaklandRising.org. Can we ask questions or?
Yes. So they're going to come with some prepared questions for us, which we have not seen the questions. Fine by me. And there will be an opportunity for audience questions at the end. Yeah, this is going to be exciting. You're right. I don't know what's happening with this police commission.
Well, I was going to the police commission, but with less than 2 minutes.
Yes.
I just want to say you've been amazing. The answers that you gave are not catchphrases. And you got my support. You know that. We need to have you back on the show. We need to continue once you become a board of supervisor.
Yeah.
We want you to come on the show and let our audience know what you're doing because Nate Miley gotta go. You got paid and we got played. It's time for you to hit the road, Jack, and don't come back no more.
That's right, no more.
Right.
So let me ask. In my calendar, I have that we might do a special Instagram Live on Monday at 12 noon. Is that true?
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. I want to say it to the audience right now so they can know that on Instagram Live, we're going to see y'all Monday, the day before the election. That's going to be March 4th at 12 noon. I will be definitely out knocking on them doors. I had to run inside because it's raining like cats and dogs. I've been out in the drizzle, but now it's real rain.
Okay, well, we'll see you then. We got less than a minute. We appreciate you coming on today.
It's my pleasure.
Audience, as we wrap it up today, our gratitude goes out to Mr. Donnie Glover of Black USA. Donnie Glover, it's been an honor of the Black Business Roundtable being a part of your growing network dedicated to bringing the real unfiltered news before the news. #BlackUSA.news, #Donnie Glover. Continue sharing #Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022, and also #Justice for Enzo, a husky that was drugged in Lodi, California. And if you want to be in the know, please reach us at BBRT 2021. We look forward to seeing you Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast time on blackusa.news network on YouTube and Facebook. And audience, thank you for tuning in today. And remember, together, we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is Doug Blacksher, and candidate running for Alameda County Board of Supervisor, Jennifer Esteen.
Hey.
And Dr. Ashley coming back real soon. She's dealing with a lot of patients down there in Southern California. The Black Business Roundtable, appreciate you. We'll see you next week. God bless and good night.